Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
Welcome, Marvel fans, to episode 21 of Marvelcast, a Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast by fans for fans. Each week, we will discuss the latest news regarding the MCU, followed by reviews and discussion of the latest released content in this ever-expanding multiverse. Our audience is a key component to our show, and we'll wrap up each week by answering your Marvel-related questions. I'm your host, Steve, and joined with me, as always, is my co-host, JG. JG, welcome back. How are you doing this week?
I'm doing pretty well. It's been a long week. Now the holidays and the festivities are all over, but it's a new year. We got done with Marvelcasties, and it's 2022, and a lot of great content on our way.
Yeah, it's coming up down the pipeline, but we definitely have a little bit of a little break now with not knowing when the next content is going to come out. Hopefully next month at some point, we'll start to see some more Disney Plus shows. So kind of have a little bit lighter show today. We got a few news pieces, and then we're going to do our main topic, which is kind of our 2022 preview, what we know so far, what we're excited about with each of these upcoming projects. So let's jump right into it. Our first news story is, as of today of recording, January 12th, 2022, The Eternals is now streaming on Disney Plus. JG, I know you've been posting, you're really excited to rewatch this, and so am I. Did you get a chance to visit it at all today or not with work?
Yeah, so so once I got done with work, I was working on some catch-up things for the podcast, and I put it on in the background. So I think I made it through like about an hour and a half. I'm at the point where they find the truth basically about what's going on with Earth and their real reason why they're there.
And how's it look on a screen, not as big as the movie theater, but still in the comfort of your home? How's it look?
It looked pretty good. I'm actually watching it from a tablet, and so pretty small screen, but it's beautiful. I was watching it in the IMAX enhanced version. It's beautiful.
Okay, very nice. So yeah, I'm hoping to dig back into that and rewatch that maybe even this weekend. Our next piece of news is in regards, we got two Spider-Man stories for us today because we're, of course, even though we're not in the month of Spider-Man, we're still talking Spider-Man. The first one is that Spider-Man No Way Home is going to probably, speaking of streaming, be available for purchase digitally next month, February 28th, which seems kind of soon. But digital movie retailer Vudu has revealed on their website that you'll be able to download and purchase Spider-Man No Way Home on February 28th for a pre-order price of $19.99 United States dollars. You can order it in standard def, high def, 4K ultra high def. I'm probably going to make my pre-order, although I'm contemplating waiting the extra 2 weeks and getting the 4K disc. I'm trying to cut back on my physical media as much as possible, but I already have all the other Tom Holland and Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire Blu-ray, so it would kill me a little bit to not have it. What's your game plan? Are you excited for this to be available in just over a month?
Oh my gosh, yes. This is a movie it's a movie I want to rewatch, and it's a movie I wanted to go back in theaters and rewatch. I'll probably make it out maybe one more time. We'll see. I'm super excited. I'm definitely I've moved to the digital age, whatever it is. I do like having it available wherever I am, whether I'm flying or having it at home or at friend's house. I do like that a lot. $20 actually seems like a good price, to be honest, because I think recently, like, some of these movies that come out pretty early have been like 25, 30, like even a little bit more. So I think 20 is a fair price. It's about like what you would buy, like, I mean, whenever I was younger, it's like the price of a DVD. I really don't even know what DVDs go for anymore. Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, this is definitely, like, we're seeing a lot more studios pushing the format of digital for a couple of reasons. I mean, that's less money they have to put up front to get the discs out in the stores. Like, if you've been to Walmart or Target or Best Buy, their physical media Blu-ray section is so small compared to what it was 10 years ago, even 3 years ago. And so they don't want to have to worry about that. So they've been putting out these digital versions usually about 2 weeks before it comes out on disc, and also a little bit cheaper at $20 for 4K. If I decide to buy the disc version, it'll be closer to probably $27, $28. So by getting it a little bit cheaper and getting it 2 weeks earlier, that's probably the way to go, because again, most of my cases are just gathering dust right now because, again, digital is the way to go because just the way it is right now. Oh yeah, I can't wait to dive in as well and rewatch some of my favorite scenes over and over again. That's one that I'm most excited to revisit. And speaking of Spider-Man, a second story we have is that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield this week They've been doing a lot more kind of press now that they finally can talk about it. And one of the big ones that kind of made me chuckle was they snuck into a Spider-Man screening together, probably either Thursday or Friday night that first weekend. And here was Andrew Garfield's quote. I still can't believe it happened. I snuck into a theater on opening night and just watched with my baseball cap on and my mask. In fact, I was also with Tobey. Me and Tobey snuck into a theater together, and no one knew we were there. It was just a really beautiful thing to share together. JG, I think both of us, we had sold out shows for our Thursday night premiere. So someone randomly was sitting next to Tobey and Andrew. And the fact that they didn't even realize it, or we don't know what theater they were in, like, this was awesome because I feel like with all the hype that built up to it, and they just knew like how well they would be received and excited for. Just imagine sitting there being them and just watching the crowd go wild, like more so than what would have probably happened at the premiere, which I don't even think they were at because they were keeping it secret. So this was the first time they got to actually see audience reactions to and show their love for them, and they didn't even know they were right there in the theater. What did you think about that?
Man, can you imagine if you like were the person to like you drop your phone or you like dropped your candy and you're like, hey, can you pick that up for me? And it's like, it's Andrew Garfield. Like what? Like that is just so wild to me. Like I'm glad. One of my big takeaways is that they do, like, we've heard them talk about it, like the group text and the friendship that they have. Like there is clearly, like, I think even more like a brotherhood between these three actors, and so specifically these two because they were the first two, and so yeah, I'm glad that they could enjoy it, just have fun and be a fan. And I think that's also, as actors and creators, we always hear about how it could be so hard to watch your own work, but I'm glad that they could actually sit back. They could hear the audience. Like if they were going on opening weekend, they're hearing all the screams, they're hearing all the cheers, the roaring applause, the standing, like that. And can you just imagine, especially for Andrew, who probably has had a lot rockier of a ride as than the other Spider-Man. People are a lot more critical in his films. Now, generally, they're usually more positive on him as an actor, but his films are people rank them usually low. And so to see that, I can't even imagine that feeling for him.
Yeah, neither can I. I really hope he gets that again, that satisfaction, and it makes him want to continue on with this role, which I hope we get to see him again. Our last news story for today is that even though we have not officially received any type of promotional material, whether it be trailer or poster for Thor: Love and Thunder, we're starting to get a little leaks here and there. And one of them was Thor's upgraded suit leaked in a new poster that basically focuses on the new characters and the new Avengers, especially. I really hope we get the full version of this poster soon, and I hope that I can purchase it because, whenever I was in college, I had this really cool poster with all the Marvel comic characters. Like they were all laid out and it was really cool, like multiple layers of them. And I would love that with the MCU characters. So if you search for the image, I have it pulled up right now. In the background, they have some of the, I guess, retired characters or maybe deceased characters. We see Gamora, we see Steve Rogers, Iron Man, and Hulk. Now Hulk has a little bit more color to him because he's not retired, because we know we're going to see him later this year in She-Hulk. But in the front, they have, again, the new characters who we're supposed to focus on in Phase 4, including Miss Marvel, who we haven't met yet, Okoye, Groot, who looks a little bit older, Thor, Jane Foster's Thor, Spider-Man, Peter Quill, Wasp, Wanda's hair. We've got Shang-Chi, and we also have the right arm of Black Panther, who we, again, don't know who's in that costume or what we're going to see yet. So it is a very cropped image of this poster, and I can't wait to see more of it. But of course, the two that I'm really just drawn to, because I don't know much about them yet, is Jane Foster's Thor, and she looks awesome. But especially Thor, he has Stormbreaker in his hand. He's got a lot of blue and gold on his costume. And the most distinctive feature right now is his helmet. And it has, like, again, the ears almost that point up to the left and the right. It's got gold and blue. It kind of reminds me of Hawkman from DC property. So yeah, I mean, JG, I don't know if you have the picture pulled up right now too, but I know we shared it the other day together. So what do you think about some of these new characters really taking front stage, and especially some of the new looks we're seeing?
It makes sense. We're in a new phase, we're in a new saga, a new era. Like this whole past year has been all about introducing new characters and maybe characters that we've known stepping up in ways that they haven't before. And so the torch has been passed and will continue to pass. And We're gonna see the what's gonna elevate to these new teams. You know, whether we get the Avengers, whether we get Young Avengers. Like there is many paths and lots of different combinations. And then specifically for the suits, first of all, Jane looks incredible. That's probably like my most anticipated for that movie. I love that character so much. Love the actress, of course. So I'm just so excited to see where they go with that. But of course, Thor just looks awesome. It was before I was really into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I loved the Thor movie. I watched that movie a lot, and I just really dug it. Before I was really thinking about Iron Man or Captain America or anything, I was thinking about Thor. And so, yeah, it looks really awesome. Comic book accurate. So lots of respect for the comic book fans. It's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be fun. It just shouts fun. It shouts Taika. It shouts the actor. It's gonna be wonderful.
And I just love seeing, and I'm sure like if they have Miss Marvel, you know, you're going to get Kate Bishop. You know, you're going to get a variety of the characters from the TV shows. They upgraded like Falcon's suit and everything. Just want to see the full poster, and I hope it's available for purchase sooner rather than later. That's going to segue us out of our news for the week. And again, a little bit shorter episode, but let's talk about our main topic because we got a lot to talk about. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 films coming out this year, and 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 3 or 4 TV and specials in that regard. So this is going to be our 2022 preview. We're going to be talking about just briefly what we know, what we expect, what we're excited about, maybe what we're nervous about. But before we get in, JG, with it now being January 12th and with the pandemic still raging throughout our world, do you expect these movies to stay on this release schedule, or do you expect them to get pushed back like we already saw with Morbius?
No, that ain't that the $1 million question. I think it's hard to say because the earliest film right now would be Morbius, and that's in April, and then the proper Marvel film would be in May with Doctor Strange. If we continue in this path where Omicron or another variant comes around and it continues to hinder people going to the movie theaters and things like that, there is a strong possibility these movies are going to get delayed. They're not going to go towards the premium Disney Plus route. That did not work. There was articles and news talking about how much Black Widow lost money because of that. So if things in the world cause it to be delayed, it would be the continued problem with Omicron and or a new variant. Then yeah, these films are going to get delayed because Disney's not going to go the digital route. Never. We're never going to see that in the near future.
Yeah, I'd be willing to bet. I would be willing to bet we will see Doctor Strange and Thor: Love and Thunder this year, but I'm also not willing to bet a whole lot that we will see Black Panther this year. I'm hoping we do, but I could easily see that being pushed back to the February slot where the Marvels is currently located in 2023. I think the Disney Plus shows, for the most part, are finished filming and in post-production, that they could still see the light of day unless they tie in to the order of the films. So again, that'll depend on how things go. All right, let's talk about our first movie coming up here. Not an April Fool's joke, but Morbius is now scheduled for April 1st. JG, we talked last week a little bit about Morbius. We've seen it. We've seen that it's been promoted for a very, very long time. It was supposed to come out of originally, I'm thinking, in 2021, and it just kept getting pushed back. Or was it even 2020? I don't even know. When did they?
It's been forever.
Anyhow, it's been a long time coming. So this is going to be the next Sony Universe film, you know, and we think about, we've seen a couple trailers. We know kind of the basic premise from the comics of Morbius. What are you most excited for? What are you looking forward to and seeing the Sonyverse spread out?
I'm just excited to get more of what Sony is doing. Sony has been pretty consistent recently. You know, they've done pretty well with the Spider-Man movies, the Venom movies, and so it's going to be really telling to see, can they really expand their Spider-Man universe? Can they go out and tell stories of other characters? You know, Spider-Man's very popular, so like you're gonna sell a lot of tickets, whether it's good or not. You're gonna sell a lot of tickets. Venom is also super well known, and so it's gonna be really curious. I'm gonna be really curious to see how well Morbius does. I think it's gonna have a really hard time though, but there is a lot of hype around it, so maybe it could have a good like second week or so.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it also will continue. Like, we know that Venom movies have done well. Of course, anything related to Spider-Man right now is gold that you can print. I definitely am curious to how much they're going to address how it connects. And I mean, I've heard rumors that maybe we'll see an Andrew Garfield cameo, which would make sense. Like Morbius and Venom would fit perfectly with the Amazing Spider-Man universe. Make it happen, build up to another Amazing Spider-Man movie. Yeah, I think this would be great because now we could have Tom Holland Spider-Man in the MCU with more street level villains right now, and we could have Andrew Garfield continue on his journey as well. So hopefully we'll get some clarification when the movie comes out about what part of the universe this fits into. Alrighty, next up, May 6th, only about a month later, another very anticipated film, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. This was the film that won our Marvelcasties for most anticipated. This is your most anticipated, my most anticipated. Tell me why again. Just summarize it for us.
it's as if, you know, you take Spider-Man and then you multiply that by like 100, because Spider-Man was celebrating the love of Spider-Man, and now this is going to celebrate the love of Marvel. Like, this movie is going to blow people's minds. We're going to get cameo after cameo. Like, man, I can't, I don't even have words. I'm so excited for this film.
Yeah, so am I. I just feel like this is going to be the one that is, again, just like with Endgame, just like with Spider-Man No Way Home, we're going to get a lot of those Doctor Strange portals, and we're going to be cheering from our seats to see characters again that we haven't seen in a very long time. Even in quick cameos, it's going to really, I think, reward longtime fans of the MCU and also just Marvel in general. People that have been following the X-Men movies, Fantastic Four movies. I wouldn't be surprised if they get called out or cameos. You know, they don't have to come back after this movie, but show that everything, whether it's the Netflix shows, whether it's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or the Hulu shows, show that it's all canon, because it is. It's the multiverse. That's why it's called that.
There was a report or rumor that went out today that they had contacted the guy who did the original Daredevil before.
Ben Affleck. Excuse me,
Yes.
Ben Affleck.
Thank you.
And,
yes.
I bet they contacted a bunch of people, unless they're really going to unload a wheel, like loads and loads of money to him. I don't see him coming back because he just got so burnt out with playing Batman in DC that I'd be really surprised if he came back to another character from a movie that really did not do well and is not well received. But at the same time, maybe he wants a redemption story. Maybe he wants to have a chance to redeem his performance. It would be interesting to see multiple Daredevils for sure.
I think that it's so interesting, more than just even the Ben Affleck element of it. It's more the fact that they contacted him. Like, now my question is, who else have they contacted? What other character? If you're contacting him for that movie, they could be contacting anyone. And I think that this movie, I think whatever you're expecting for this movie, you're not going to be able to truly know or expect or predict what they will show us and what cameos and how wild and just weird and just fun. And even more so, let's get some more wrap up with like the Wanda story that was, you know, WandaVision. Maybe even throw in some things with Loki. Like, there's a lot of this multiverse stuff that can start to be resolved a little bit in this movie.
Yeah, let's not forget too, like you said, we're going to be seeing Scarlet Witch in her full power in a way like it took WandaVision to build up to that. I don't know if that, I mean, we're probably going to see her in more of a antagonistic, villainistic style as she's trying to find her sons, my guess is, through the multiverse, or once she becomes more aware of what's available out there. We are going to get, is it America Chavez is the new character that's been promoted? We're going to get her, and she looks very interesting. She has, I guess, the powers to kind of make portals through time and space. So that's pretty cool. Let's not forget, we're going to get Baron Mordo, who we haven't really seen since the post-credit scene in Doctor Strange, and he's kind of on a more darker path now too. So this movie, again, we haven't had Doctor Strange, the first film, since what, 2017 or 16, around there?
16, I think.
So it's been quite a long time. It's been 6 years now. It's time for the sequel, and it's, you know, a sequel to every other movie that came in between Doctor Strange and now too, because he's no longer the Sorcerer Supreme. I bet he'll have that title by the end of it, though.
I think
but
so.
Hopefully Wong survives, because I can't imagine Wong passing away. But there's going to probably be death. I don't see everyone getting out of this.
Yeah.
Maybe Christine, because remember in that What If episode, maybe they are not destined to stay together.
Yeah, let's just hurt our hearts even more. Yeah, let's just see that over again. Sure.
About 2 months after Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, we have Thor Love and Thunder. So I guess this is the next movie that is due for a trailer, because we've already seen Morbius and Doctor Strange trailers. So when do you expect to see a Thor and Love and Thunder trailer? I feel like we're back talking about Spider-Man again.
I see. I think we're gonna get. If I had money to bet, I would say we're gonna get a teaser, like a teaser, at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I feel like there's gonna be a lot of teasers this year. I remember
They did it last year.
Well, no, not with COVID. We didn't really get any. We didn't get anything from Marvel last year, I don't think. But
Didn't we get
um,
teaser for Falcon and Winter Soldier?
we might have. I remember. Okay, think back now. This would have been the Super Bowl 2 years ago,
Oh,
February of 2020, right before everything shut down. Okay, about a month before the world shut down. And there was the Super Bowl, and they had this big Disney Plus in 2020 trailer that actually had the first look at Falcon and Winter Soldier, WandaVision, and Loki, and it kind of teased all of those. And then, of course, we didn't get them for a whole year. So it was really crazy that for that year we had like a 30-second clip of these shows that Marvel was going to put out. But it was interesting that then, waiting and just as we process everything else happening in the world, it wasn't that big of a deal. But man, it was. I hope if we get trailers this year, we actually get to see what's going to come out of those.
yeah. So I did just a quick Google search, just a little fact check. So I just come up here. It looks like on the first like Google searches. So like someone can correct me in an email if I'm wrong. But it looks like we did get our first full trailer for Falcon and Winter Soldier. We got a very short snippet for Loki, and then a general just like a Disney Plus ad last year.
Yeah, I'd be well. I mean, Marvel and Disney will probably pay the big bucks to promote Thor: Love and Thunder. Maybe a new trailer for Doctor Strange.
Moon Knight.
And I don't think we're getting Black Panther yet, but put out those two trailers, and then also probably something big for Disney Plus. Maybe that's gonna be our first look at Obi-Wan Kenobi, isn't it?
Oh, that's
Probably.
Yeah, probably. You're
You're gonna
That's
get
the money
clickbait
shot.
there. That's the way to do it. Oh, like
Yeah.
imagine like if they did like a preview of everything coming in 2022, and then you just end it with like just a quick look at Ewan McGregor. Oh, sorry, different podcast.
Different But
Different
maybe
podcast.
maybe that's when we'll get our schedule finally, Steven. Like the thing that we want more
Ooh.
than anything, more than a trailer. I just want a schedule.
Even if they just put like Moon Knight
Months.
March, or She-Hulk May, like as long as we got the months as an idea, that's all I need, so we can plan out our show. Because right now
Yes.
we are a little bit
We got planning. We got planning to do.
We do. But definitely Thor: Love and Thunder. This is the first MCU film that's going to be a number 4. It's the first, out of the original big 3, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor. Chris Hemsworth's the only one that's still around as one of our big 3 of our Avengers. So I really am excited to see him. I am hoping he is more of, I think he's going to start off the movie as central. And I think that as the movie progresses, he's going to take on more of a supporting character to let Jane Foster, to let Valkyrie, girl power. Let's let them kind of take the spotlight here. And he can still be there, of course. It's probably going to pick up with him with the Guardians. That's the last time we saw him. And I don't know how Jane's going to play back into, because we haven't seen Jane outside of her Endgame cameo since Thor: The Dark World, I think. Wow. Okay. So this is going to bring back some great story times here. So what are you excited for with this one?
Yeah, I'm just excited for the universe of Thor. I know that some of the earlier movies have been very rocky for most fans. I just love it. There's something about the fantasy and sci-fi element to it that I love so much. And Taika really did bring such a fresh breath of air, though. Even though I did really enjoy the first 2. The third one is spectacular filmmaking, and I'm so glad he's back for number 4. Like that, this movie is gonna kick so much butt. It's gonna be so funny. It's gonna be so emotional. I do think it's gonna really start with him being with the Guardians, and I think if they're gonna continue the path of the comics, like she's gonna end up with cancer or some disease, and I think that that's what's gonna bring him back and force him to see Jane again. And then the rest of the story goes from there. I do think that it's going to progress into being definitely a Jane-centric story more, though, because of that. And I definitely think Valkyrie is going to play a huge role, as we've heard a lot. Valkyrie might be showing up in other properties as well. So this film is going to be just bring us some more of that, especially if you look at the title. It looked like it's from the 80s, and it looks like rock bands, and just like I love that energy. I am so ready for if we get rock ballads after rock ballad, I'm gonna be so happy.
Yeah, me too. It's got to have a great soundtrack. I mean, like you said, Taika Waititi is just one of my favorite directors right now. and I can't wait to see what he does with this and really just go all out. I feel like, you know, Ragnarok was like him proving himself in a way and saying, "Look what I can do." But now he's got basically a blank check to do whatever he wants, and I don't think Marvel or Kevin Feige is going to slow him down. Just let him be free here. We're gonna have a little bit break then until October 7th with Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So again, I think the first one was one of my favorite animated films, so I'm really excited to dive back in. It's, I really wouldn't be surprised if we saw even more connections now to the live action Spider-Verse now that they feel like they can make these connections. We've seen a trailer already, so JG, are you also really pumped for continuing this journey, and especially because this is part one? We already know we're getting part two next year, so they've got a story to tell, and they've got, again, you're already jumping into a two-parter this early on.
Yeah, this film is gonna be another, like, a lot of these films have potential to be really special, but this one, because it won Best Picture, if I remember correctly, and or not Best Picture, but Best Animated Picture. And so I'm just so excited to see what they come up with. It was so heartwarming yet also emotional, and the visuals and the way that they animate this, and like if you really like learn what went into making this film, like read some articles and such, like it is astonishing what they did to put this on the big screen. And so the fact that they have two like lining up, like they're like, oh, we can't tell this in one movie, like this has got to be two movies. I'm so curious to see where they go. I'm expecting a cliffhanger, which is going to be filled with anger, but hopefully we won't have to wait much long for that sequel.
Yeah, it might even be as early as next summer. Maybe it's going to be like a fall summer. I could see being like even a big May like blockbuster movie even. All right. So the next one we've already talked a little bit about is Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. They are still filming this as far as I know, or maybe they're going back into production. It's one that worries me a little bit because with going back into production in the early part of 2022, they got a lot of post production to do between now and the end of the year. And of course, just the weight of how do you properly honor Chadwick Boseman and keep the story going and being respectful. JG, what are your thoughts about this one, and what are you most excited for?
Yeah, I've made my thoughts very clear on the podcast many times. I'm always excited and hopeful for a Marvel film, especially now as have dove in more and have really enjoyed it and studied it almost. I'm always going to be excited. There's always going to be that level of joy. But this film has just had a lot of weight. Obviously with everything with Chadwick, and just going into that, it's like, how are they going to pull this off? Where is this story going to go? And then you add in all the extra drama off the set or off filming. I've expressed this, and I'll just say one time, probably might not be the last time you hear it from me. I just hope that this film just does it respectfully, and it gets the respectful send off, and that none of this extra stuff surrounds this movie, and that we can really honor that legacy. I think that this does have potential to be a huge cultural movie, like it was with the original. Like Spider-Man really left a huge impact. I hope that this movie can get made well and made with respect, and have that legacy that it deserves.
Yeah, and I also have a feeling that if it does come out this year, and I could be way off on this, and tell me if you think I'm wrong, based on the movie that we just talked about, I feel like Black Panther has the potential to be the highest earning Marvel film of the year. Doctor Strange is a fan favorite, and with bringing so many characters in, it could and should do very well. Especially like we just saw him in No Way Home. Everyone saw him in No Way Home. They probably want to see him again. But I just feel like looking at how well the first Black Panther did, and I think there's going to be so much. And I don't think they're not going to show a lot or reveal a lot in the previews, but people are going to be very curious going into this. How do you honor Chadwick Boseman? How do you continue the story without him? I feel like that curiosity and the love of the first movie is going to bring out a lot of people at the end of the year. Do you think, am I right? Am I wrong? Or do you think another movie could take the most money this year?
Yeah, I think just looking at the list of what we have, I think the only thing that can maybe compete with it is Doctor Strange. However, because of how well Thor Ragnarok did, maybe Thor: Love and Thunder could be a secret dark horse there. But I think Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, I think it's just going to have more people who aren't Marvel fans um, go and watch this film. And I think it's gonna just bring in a lot more external audience. Like I think obviously everyone who's Marvel fans are gonna see all of these movies, but now it's who else is gonna come see this movie? You know, with Spider-Man, No Way Home, you're having all the fans. Maybe if people aren't invested in the MCU, well, maybe they were fans. They were invested in Tobey's movies, or maybe Andrew's movies, or maybe they saw Andrew in like Tick Tick Boom and they want to see him in this because of the rumors. And so I think there's just way more potential for this film to bring in more of an external audience. So I think it's pretty clear that this will make the most money, unless again controversy surrounds it, which can hurt it, and that's why I really hope it doesn't.
Yeah, and also it's going to come down to reviews too. Like, let's be honest, every Marvel movie, with the exception of the Eternals, has had a positive Rotten Tomato score. And so, as long as these movies continue that trend, I think we're in for a very wealthy year for Disney and Marvel. I feel like what we see up here, Sony's going to have 2 big movies this year, and Disney and Marvel are going to have 3 big movies if all goes according to plan. All right, so we also are going to briefly talk. We don't know a whole lot. We don't know release dates yet, but we've got a couple shows and specials coming our way this year, including what we think is the first one is going to be Moon Knight. Moon Knight is going to have Oscar Isaac. Moon Knight is a vigilante. He's connects to the Egyptian gods. I think he's dealing with schizophrenia. So we're going to see a very different, darker, more maybe hopefully focus on like mental health. I don't know. What do you expect out of Moon Knight?
I expect it to just completely shock me because I'm not familiar with the character at all. I've heard people compare him to be like the Batman of the MCU. I'm just ready for something like dark and heavy, like something maybe to the weight of Daredevil and Punisher. Puts that on Disney Plus. I don't think we're gonna get to as brutal, but I think we're gonna get pretty close. I think we're gonna get up there, and I think that this has potential to be really unique. You know, you could bring in characters with connections like Blade. You could also bring in Dane from the Eternals. So lots of interesting possibilities. Oscar Isaac is a gem in acting. And so this, I have a feeling that this is going to be my favorite score of the year.
Yeah, I'm excited because you know what? I'm glad they're starting the year again, hopefully with this being all these shows, with the exception of our specials later this year, all the shows are new intellectual property. They're going to be new characters that are leading it. And that wasn't, I think Disney Plus played a very smart move with Marvel, where the first year, last year, was all continuing kind of Avengers. And yeah, they were pretty much all Avengers stories and like continuing big characters. Where this is doing something very different, where we're really going to dive into new characters. So that way it builds the universe out. We already know we're going to get cameos from other characters like in She-Hulk. So I can't wait to see kind of how it brings in new characters and introduces us to them going forward. Speaking of, so after Moon Knight, we expect that we're going to get She-Hulk maybe in the spring. Again, from what I'm hearing, some fun stuff. Breaking the fourth wall, maybe even a Kevin Feige cameo, which would be crazy if he were. I mean, I would love it. It would just be so meta. And like, come on, this would be the perfect chance in a post-credit scene to introduce Daredevil. Nope, not Daredevil. Deadpool, excuse me. This is the way to do it. I mean, she just seems so fun, and I have a feeling she's going to quickly become like this year's Yelena, where everyone loves her. What are you excited with She-Hulk?
Yeah, I think this film is gonna just do such an incredible job. It's really gonna give us something different. It's gonna give, like I said, it's my most anticipated. It's gonna give us that like Law and Order feel, and it's gonna be fun. I'm so excited to see who they bring in and how they bring it in, breaking the fourth wall and all that fun stuff. It's going to be something really cool, really, really unique. And I think what's really interesting is like I feel like a lot of these are kind of giving us the backstories because these are going to be characters that are going to be very important moving forward. And so that's where I'm also curious to see is where these characters show up next, along with like their origin story, but what's next for these characters.
Yeah, as we're starting to wind down the phase 4 film list that in the next 2 years, we know that we're going to start to have to get announcements for what comes afterwards. So for 2024, we don't know anything yet, but if only 2 years out, hopefully by this summer and maybe D23 later this year, we'll get some announcements about what's coming down the pipeline. I hope we get that kind of next reveal slate, and hopefully it'll include some of these characters after we meet them. The only one we have a tentative release date for is Miss Marvel for summer. Miss Marvel was originally, I think, in a pre-pandemic world to be out already at this point. I think it's been in the can for a while, but I'm very excited to meet Miss Marvel, to see, such a character that represents a minority, to be, Middle Eastern, to be having this again, showing what life is like. I think she lives in New York as well. I could be wrong on that. But again, to introduce this character that then we're going to see in a couple months later in the Marvels, bring it on. I'm excited for Miss Marvel and all that she offers. And again, a young character that we're going to hopefully get to see grow up over the next couple years. What about you? Are you excited for Miss Marvel?
Oh yeah, Miss Marvel is gonna be really fun. I mean, obviously, because it's gonna connect into it's going to connect into the Marvels, and so that's going to be really see. We're getting that origin story, instead of like spending a half hour of a movie or 45 minutes and rushing an origin story so that we could get to the meat and the potatoes of the movie. We're getting it in a full show, so I'm excited to see it flexed out. More than likely going to be a young Avenger, so I'm excited. And like you said, diversity, like it's so important to have representation, and so that way there are little girls like her that can look at the TV and be like, oh my goodness, I can be a hero. And I think that is just, it's so important. And that's why I do think this year it's gonna be such an important year with the amount. I mean, last year was also, but this year I think even more with how diverse of heroes and characters that we are getting.
And if it's based in New York, like I think it is, wouldn't it be cool to see again Kate Bishop in one episode, or Spider-Man? Like again, setting up those young Avengers as we get ready for something, whether it's a movie or a show later on down the line. I didn't include anything else because nothing else, I mean, besides our two specials, but I don't know if we're going to potentially see an Echo or maybe a Secret Invasion in the fall. If Miss Marvel runs in the fall, plus, I mean, we're expecting probably What If next year as well, or this year, excuse me. But I didn't include it because we don't know for sure. But again, hopefully we'll start to see. I can't imagine them going from August, or maybe What If ends in September, October, till the next year. I don't think they're going to go that long without a Marvel show.
No, I think we're going to have a pretty steady flow here. I think as early, we could probably start getting stuff around February, but I think maybe realistically, we're looking at March or April for that first show to start rolling around. And then it's going to be pretty constant, where we're going to get a point where it's Star Wars and Marvel releasing stuff at the same point.
Yep. And then our last two specials, probably between Thanksgiving and Christmas, we're definitely going to get the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. And it is being filmed simultaneously with Guardians 3 right now. We're going to have the cast in it. It's hopefully going to be a lot of fun. I mean, if it's James Gunn, we're going to get a good Christmas soundtrack in there as well. Something a little bit different, a variety of songs. And I guess if we see the Guardians in Thor: Love and Thunder and now this, we'll see 2 Guardian stories next year. Are you excited for a Christmas special that may top the holiday special of Star Wars?
Oh, that's a hard thing. That's a hard thing to do. Yeah, I'm super excited. Guardians is probably one of my favorite groups. I love them. I love the chemistry, the humor, the space of it all. It's gonna be really fun, and I think being the fact that it's gonna be a very contained story, it's gonna be Christmas. Oh, I'm ready for that Christmas track, that Christmas mix. This is gonna be fun, and I think it's flying under a lot of people's radars, but I think it's gonna be pretty awesome.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I feel like it's gonna have a lot of heart, emotion. I could see, even if it's under an hour, I hope it's around an hour. That'd be nice, like almost like a first, Disney Plus movie. Even if it gets to an hour and a half, that would be incredible too. But I can't wait for that one. And the other one, which again we don't know when it's going to drop, but it was in the teaser for this year, is I Am Groot, which is probably, if I had to guess, going to be really a variety of shorts, kind of like the Olaf shorts on Disney Plus. And again, even if they're 10 3-minute shorts, that's 30 more minutes of content. It might be kind of silly, it might be kind of childish, but it's still going to be, from what we understand, MCU canon. It's still going to be important. And I love Groot, so it'll be fun to kind of watch whether this is baby Groot, teenage Groot, I don't know. Maybe a Groot from different ages. Maybe it'll jump through time. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm excited. It's gonna be fun. It gives me vibes of possibly being very similar to Forky Asked a Question, which my brother and I, oh my gosh, we love those things. Every time a new one would come out, we would just gather around and watch it. They were just ridiculous and hilarious. If you haven't watched them, I definitely recommend them. So I'm pretty excited. Groot's lovable. I don't expect these to be too long. I think we're gonna get a good handful. It's gonna be fun, good stuff. Maybe gear for a little younger audience, but you can't go wrong with Groot.
Nope, Groot's a fan favorite, and I think Baby Groot had his time to shine before Baby Yoda Grogu showed up. So now Baby Groot wants to take the spotlight back if he can, especially if we don't get Grogu again for a while.
Oh yeah.
And that is going to wrap up our 2022 preview. We will hopefully continue to update it and hopefully not have to lose a lot from this, but instead gain more content is our goal. JG, any other thoughts on our preview before we wrap up for today?
Nope, it gives me a lot of excitement and a lot of joy. We have a lot of stuff to cover. While we do have some weeks that we don't have, things to cover per se, that gives us time to look back and maybe watch things that we haven't watched and talk about different specific themes and topics. And this year is going to be it's going to be a fun one. It's going to be very exciting.
Yeah. So hopefully, again, like JG said, we can use some of this downtime to watch some other Marvel films, even if they're not MCU, because again, and by Doctor Strange and later this year in May, I think anything's possible. Before we wrap up, JG, why don't you tell everyone where they can find you? Because you're back to putting out some great new content on your page.
Yeah, so you can find me on YouTube with my last name, which is Carse, Carse. I'm doing reactions for Lost, Book of Boba Fett, Haunting of Hill House, all that good stuff, and just and watching TV and talking with you guys.
Yep, and that's going to wrap up episode 21 of Marvelcast. We hope you enjoyed diving into the world of Marvel with us and looking forward to this upcoming year with all of our content. We want our fans to interact with us with the podcast, so we can't wait to hear your feedback. Please send any questions, comments, concerns to marvelcastpod@gmail.com. Please subscribe to 1138 Productions feed, and if you haven't, leave us a review whenever you get a chance to listen, because it really helps us out to grow and spread to other people. If you can share our page, if you can share our podcast, we'd really appreciate it. That way, again, more people can get to join in on the conversation. Check out our YouTube video for a version of the podcast if you prefer to watch. JG puts up some great graphics on there as well. So from myself and JG, we hope you have a marvelous week. And remember,
I could do this all day.